So the problem is the NFL being completely inconsistent with everything, and you guys had touched on it before. So I'm just going to cite something from the report, page 15, for Sue Robinson, saying the NFL may be a forward-facing organization, but is not necessarily a forward-looking one. Just as the NFL responded to violent conduct after a public outcry, so it seems the NFL is responding to yet another public outcry about Mr. Watson's conduct. At least in the former situation, the policy was changed and applied proactively. Here, the NFL is attempting to impose a more dramatic shift in its culture without the benefit of fair notice to and consistency of consequence for those in the NFL subject to the policy. What she's saying there is the NFL the reason we're even in this situation is because the NFL just is like 4 games, 6 games, 8, like whatever. They're just handing it out willy-nilly. What Sue Robinson is saying is, well, you kind of have to have
Caroline, thanks for liking the stream.
This stuff on the books rather than the fact of saying, well, people are getting upset about all of this, so we're going to make it a longer suspension. In the Ray Rice situation, they initially gave 2 games, and then the video came out. Now the NFL had seen the video, but because the video became public, they felt the need that they needed to increase the suspension. Yeah, even though they had already had access to it. So again, I'm not defending anything that Watson has done by any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But the NFL has been completely inconsistent in everything that they've done up to this point, which is why this whole process was collectively bargained in the first place. So terrible thing to test drive.
Yeah, for sure.
This is the first situation that we've had that it falls under this category.
It is terrible. It is terrible. And the judge had no choice but to default back to prior judgments. But let me just put this into perspective now that the NFL has an opportunity, and I think that they will. We've heard that they're going to push for a full season. The NFLPA will fight back. The NFLPA doesn't have a leg to stand on in this lawsuit. I'm sorry, they just don't. They don't. They're going to sue, and they don't have a leg to stand on because they agreed to the terms of the Players' Code of Conduct, which states that the commissioner can make the final say. And I think the NFL knew what the fuck they were doing when they did this because they wanted to be able to come down on these guys and set a tone going forward. I really think that the NFL is going to do that here. I honestly think that the NFL is going to do an indefinite suspension. They're going to get at least a year. I honestly believe that after today. Obviously, as Aaron stated when we first started talking about this, we've gone from thinking it's going to be a full year to thinking it's going to be no games to thinking it's going to be 12 to thinking it's going to be 4. We've been up and down, but my gut reaction right now as I sit here today on this podcast is that the NFL is going to say an indefinite suspension of Deshaun Watson. They're going to require certain things out of Deshaun Watson for the year as he's not playing. And that is going to, they're going to make a judgment after that to reinstate him in the NFL. Now, the thing to watch about that is how does that impact the Browns? What does that do with the contract? I'm not really interested in that right now. I honestly wanted to address this comment right here. Tommy, our host on the simulcast right now for the Mafia Sports Report. Appreciate you dropping by, Tommy. Love you so much, man. Everything you've done for us, we thank you so much. NFL will lose millions by sponsors and possibly lose women and fans that are pushing to get more to watch. I'm disagreeing with that.
I am too.
I honestly think that the NFL is untouchable in that. They don't need women fans. They don't. They don't need sponsors that care about that. They don't, because there are many people that will throw money out there still. Women fans to them and people that care about those things, which I'm not saying are bad. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying that those are bad things to have or to care about. What I'm saying is that the NFL doesn't need them. They don't. They are an untouchable juggernaut. Flip on your Sports Center in the middle of nothing before even fucking training camp has started. You will hear them talk about the NFL at least once. They'll talk about it always, whether it's Deshaun Watson, whether it's rumors, whether it's bullshit, no matter what it is. The NFL will be talked about every single day on every single sports station that covers sports in general. We do it here. We talk about the NFL almost every time we get on broadcast. Sure. Why? Because it's the shit. Everyone loves it. It is the best sports product that exists in the United States of America, bar none. It's not even close. If you look at the last 20 television broadcasts through 2020, I think it was, I'm sorry, so far through 2022, the top 20 broadcasts, I think 15 of them are NFL, if I'm not mistaken. It's insane. It's absolutely insane how much they command of the TV market that they don't need it. It's just gravy to them. It's an additional thing that they can do. I don't think the NFL will be hurt should they decide not to extend a hard. Or I don't think they're doing this to save face. I honestly think they're doing this because they feel that it's not that necessarily that it's right, but that it's justified. That this is the path that needs to be taken because this is the action that needs to be taken. And let me just kind of divert from there a little bit. Jordan dropping in and liking the stream. I appreciate you, Jordan. What's up, buddy? Let me divert from there to a little bit closer to just talking about football because we can get back to the social aspect here in a little bit, but I just wanted to talk about the football aspect. There's a reason that I thought the 6-game suspension was bullshit. And a lot of it had to do with actual football. The Browns have a fucking cupcake schedule to start. They have actually, if you look at their first 6 games, it's the easiest schedule in football. It is the number one easiest schedule. Their toughest road game, who is it? Carolina Panthers, who didn't make the playoffs last year. That's their toughest road game. Who don't know who their starting quarterback is. That's their toughest road game. Deshaun Watson, had he been suspended for 6 games under his Houston contract last year, would have lost $13 million. Deshaun Watson this year, suspended for 6 games, is losing less than $400,000. That is it. In a $250 million contract, that is the only impact to him financially from a game check perspective is less than $400,000. That is heinous. That's disgusting. That's the part that pisses me off the most. You're not impacting the team. The Browns with Jacoby Brissett could be 4-0. They could be 4-2 after playing the Chargers and Patriots in week 5 and 6. Going into week 7 against the Ravens, they could be 4-2 and tied for the lead in the division. This suspension that is currently suggested, while it is merited by the judge, by Sue Robinson, based on previous actions, while it is merited, it's ridiculous because it does not impact the team and it does not impact the player. It is a proverbial slap on the wrist. It's bullshit. It is absolutely bullshit.
So